I wasn't big on the maize or corn.
Mm-hmm.
What I was big on was smokies.
I remember
You
smokies. Yes. Here in America, it's so easy to be, to feel like you're not there for your child because we're so busy. We're always working. Your child is either at the daycare or they're
Yeah.
in school. So one of the things I've learned is to be intentional, when raising your kid.
Yeah.
Being intentional means that things are not just happening,
Yes.
accidentally. You're
Yes.
actually planning for
Yes.
things
I love
to
that.
happen.
I love that.
They should learn about the American culture and they should learn about the Kenyan culture.
Yes.
But they should also learn, you as a parent should teach them, but none of those cultures is perfect. None of those cultures is,
Yes.
so they should pick out the good things. And as a parent, you should help them pick out, like the good things in those two cultures.
That's true.
About being American and about. God was aware that kids can stray away, so he gave provision in his word. He said in Proverbs 22 verse 6, he said that raise a child in the way that they should grow, and when they're old, they will
not depart from it.
They will not depart from it.
Yeah. Parents, children will follow your example more than they will follow your advice. Hello and welcome to another episode of Diaspora Honey and Beestings, where we talk about the experience of living abroad, the positives, the negatives, and everything in between. My name is Lydia Atandi. If you're new to this channel, we are so glad you're here. Welcome to the family. And if you are a returning viewer, we really appreciate you. Thank you so much for your continuous support. So I'll tell you a bit of my background. I am a Kenyan that was born and raised in Kenya. I moved to the US back in 2014. I live in the state of Kansas, so I've been here for a total of about 10 years. I love that this forum has given us the opportunity to, just kind of share our experiences on life abroad. And every once in a while, I have a guest here with me to also share their experiences. And with me here today is a friend of mine who inspires me in many ways. She is one of those people that they just radiate a lot of positive energy, positive vibes. I will let her introduce herself here in a little bit, but before that, I've got to give credit where it's due. Our guest here today, so we do have a Kenyan community here in Wichita, and she is one of those people that are very active, and she is particularly passionate about helping Kenyan kids that have been born and raised in the United States. She's passionate about helping them connect to their Kenyan roots, connect to their Kenyan culture. We'll expand on that a little later. But before that, I will let her tell us who she is, tell us a little bit about herself. Take it away, my friend.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nancy Wairago. And like Lydia said, I've been in the US for a while. And I was born in Kenya. I moved to the US in 2006. So I've been here for about 19 years now. Wow, those years go by fast.
Yes.
But I've loved it here. And thank you, Lydia, for having me today. And that's it.
But isn't it just weird how time moves by and time goes so fast in the blink of an eye while you're here? I still remember my first day here. I can't believe it's been 10 years. Like it's just crazy. Anyway, thank you, Nancy. So I will have a few questions here to ask our friend here. She already told us how long ago she moved here, which you said was
2006. 2006 is when I moved to the US. Yes.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to ask you a few things because I know we're both millennials that were born and raised in Kenya, right? So we'll take a trip down memory lane, okay?
Yes.
So Miss Nancy, what was your favorite? Actually, first tell us, what city did you grow up in?
I grew up in Thika. Thika is a city near Nairobi.
Yeah. And then for those of you who are not familiar with the town, it's one of those towns that are just awesome. Like they're not big cities, but they're not too small. It has a bit of everything. I actually when I finished college, I wanted to work in Thika when I was in Kenya. So yeah, but anyway, tell us, Miss Nancy, what Kenyan food was your go-to? What was your favorite comfort Kenyan food growing up?
Growing up, I loved chapati and mandazi.
Yes.
This is because it's something we didn't eat every day. So most of the times we only had to eat chapati and mandazi on Christmas or very special days. So yeah, I still do love chapati and mandazi.
Those are like a favorite. Like you gotta have them in a Kenyan function, right?
Yes,
I love me some chapatis too.
And samosa.
Samosa.
Yes. I remember growing up, my mom had this store, and right not far from the store, there was this little hotel that made samosas, and they used to be huge samosas, not the little samosas that we know.
Oh yeah.
And some of them actually were stuffed with potatoes.
Yes.
You know, I tell people that, they're like, how would that taste? Oh wow,
amazing!
I still remember. I love those things.
No, I know what you're talking about. I've had some vegetarian samosas here. The first time I saw the option of vegetarian samosa when I was here, I was kind of excited, like, yeah, it's gonna be having those either tomatoes or have you had dengu ones as well?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it would have either of those. Dengu is like mung beans, but I was a little disappointed. It had different ingredients. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was just too spicy for me. I was like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love me some samosas and chapatis. Mine would be bajia. I don't know. Yeah, I love bajia. Oh, funny enough.
I know somebody that makes bajia.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
You've got to hook me up.
She does.
Yes. You've got to hook me up. I'm excited for that. All right, Miss Nancy, tell us, what was your favorite childhood game?
My favorite childhood game was Kati. I don't know if you remember.
It's so interesting you said that. I love some Kati.
Yes.
You want to tell us what it involved? I know it's hard to describe, but...
It's hard to describe, but it's, I don't know, maybe you...
Yeah, so it was like, the concept of the game is you can't be hit by the ball. Like there's two people on two sides facing each other, and then there's another person in the middle. So the two people on the opposite polar sides have to toss the ball at each other. No, actually, they have to aim at the person in the middle. And the job of the person in the middle is to escape the ball. If you...
There's a similar game here in the US. I just can't remember what it's called. Dodge.
Oh.
Yes.
Exactly.
Dodge.
That sounds like
it.
It's
like Dodge game. Yeah.
You're supposed to dodge the ball. Yes.
I was trying to remember the name of it.
I didn't know there was that. That's
Yes.
Wow.
Like some of this, like there's this trampoline park on the west side here in Wichita. They had a room where you can play dodge. They have like a lot of balls.
Yeah.
So it's trampoline.
Yeah.
And then you're dodging, like you're bouncing and dodging at the same time.
Nice. Yeah. That sounds like fun. Did you ever play rounders? Mine was my favorite was rounders. Yeah.
In school mostly.
Yes. So rounders was like another variant of Kati, a more fun variant of Kati, in my opinion, because you kind of there were like corners on the field where you had to be within. So you can't be out of that corner. It's hard to describe, but yeah, pretty much like Kati, but I liked it a little more. So man, I miss me some of those games. Those are good times. I don't know if kids still play that.
Growing up in Kenya.
Yes, I don't know if like this Gen Alpha kids still have that, but for us millennials, man, it was a good time.
It was fun.
Yeah. So tell me one weird thing you miss about Kenya.
One weird thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you would call this weird, but food cooked on the streets. It was the best.
It was the bomb. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Even up to this day. Yeah. Food cooked on the streets. Yeah. And it's so fun. Even here in America, I've had people say that, food on the streets of New York.
Yes.
Yeah. It is different.
It's different. It's just from the heart. That's what I feel like too. And then of course there was that stigma of, there's also there's some kind of stigma about like, why would you eat food from the street?
Yes.
But me, I loved it.
Yeah. Even now, people here will wonder, like they think it's not clean.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
What was your favorite? Like,
what is it called? Corn on the cob.
Yes.
Like corn on the cob. Toasted corn on the cob, which you call in Kenya. We call corn maize.
Yes.
Yeah. So maize toasted on the street.
Right.
roasted on the street.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
I'm
just that.
Yes, that was some good stuff there. I wasn't big on the maize or corn. What I was big on was smokies.
I remember
You
smokies.
do?
Yes. Oh
Oh my
my God,
gosh,
those
Kwanzaa,
things.
put in some kachumbari in between. Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
You just
Oh
can't have one.
wow.
One was a teaser. It was
I
an
sold
appetizer.
smokies in
Did
college.
you really?
There was
Well,
this lady friend. She used to work at the school, at the college,
yeah.
and yeah, somehow I don't even remember how I got to start selling them for her. I used to
Yeah.
sell smokies in the dorm.
Well, you're the guys who
So
started
then,
entrepreneurship a long time ago. That's what's up.
yeah, and we used to make a lot of money
I
from
can
that.
imagine because
Yeah,
college
it was two
students
of
love
us.
them.
Yes, yes,
Wow,
yeah.
that's what's all right. So let's go to the heart of the main topic of conversation today, which is parenting while living abroad. So, Miss Nancy, tell us how many kids you have?
So I have two children.
Okay.
I have a 17-year-old and I have a 6-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
The 6-year-old will be 7 next month. The 17-year-old will be 18 in December.
Okay. And then your 17-year-old is a boy?
Yeah, my 17-year-old is a boy. My 6-year-old is a girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Tell us a little bit about your kids.
Oh, my kids, they're such a big blessing. I love them.
Yeah.
My son, his name is Louis. He's, like I said, he's 17. He is 6'2".
Yeah.
And I'm 5'2.5". But he's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Aww.
Yeah, yeah. So,
and his son is actually also very musical. Like when he puts his hands on that piano, on those keys, he's very talented too.
He's very passionate about music. He plays piano, he plays violin. And then my daughter Lucy, she's awesome. She's the best thing ever. She is a people person.
She's such a delight.
She is a people person. She will hug anyone. She will hug strangers. Yeah, I remember during COVID time, she was about 2.
Yeah.
And we will go to the store, like to Walmart or Dillon's here. And she will want to hug people, strangers.
Oh.
And then they will feel so bad because they can't hug back because it's COVID time.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to keep away from each other.
Yeah.
But she is the most loving. Yeah.
She is so delightful. She spreads a lot of joy when
she does.
wherever she goes. I love her.
She does.
Yeah. So parenting. Okay, I'm not a parent yet, but the one thing I'm cognizant of is the fact that parenting is not easy at all. Now, parenting in a country that you have not been brought, or in a different country from one that you've been born and raised in, that adds another whole layer of challenge. What challenges, Nancy, have you gone through or have you encountered while raising kids in this country?
Okay, raising kids in the US, one of the challenges is the help. Back in Kenya, getting a house girl is very easy, because you bring the house girl into your home and you don't have to worry about taking your kids anywhere.
Yeah.
But in America, it's different. We don't have those people that you can just bring into your home and, like a housemaid. In America, it's the other way around. You actually have to take your child to daycare or to the babysitter. And that's different because, you're at work, imagining your child is at somebody's house all day, maybe it's a 12-hour shift, for a whole 12 hours. And some people like me, will call twice to check on your child. To check on your child. But I want to say that God has been very faithful. My mom was able to come to the US. So my son, when he was little, I had to do that for a little bit. But, with my mom being here, I was able to leave him home.
Yeah.
But I still feel for parents, that still have to do that because right now we're on a daycare and people have to bring their kids to my house, and I feel that,
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of the challenges that I had to face. Just not having enough help.
That's right. Yeah. I know, your mom runs that daycare, which is really a big blessing to a lot of people because, like you said, it's not like being in Kenya where there's help right, left, and center. You have your house help at home, and you probably have some relatives that wouldn't mind helping. But I'm really grateful you had that blessing too. Though you still went through that challenge of Did having to take your kid to daycare?
Yeah, I did before my mom
Right,
came.
right. What are there any other challenges you've encountered while raising your kids in this country?
I want to say, I know some people would say, this is like Kenya is third world and America is a little faster and Western world. So our kids are exposed to more stuff, like even on the internet. But I want to say that's changing.
Yeah.
The world has become one large global, village.
Yes.
Where what you find in the US, you also find in Kenya. Like what kids will be exposed to here on the internet, they're exposed to in Kenya. So I don't know. In my head, I'm thinking maybe some parents would think, like just growing up in America is different just because one is in America. But the truth is that, all this, I think it's everywhere, all these challenges when it comes to the internet and what our kids are exposed to on the internet that, we would not want them to be exposed to.
That's true.
I don't know, or video games, I don't know. But
no, I think definitely the world has become one large globe. African countries are westernizing at an exponential rate.
Yes.
So I don't think it's a problem that's unique to living in the States or in the Western countries. How about like just generally the environment, like would you say raising them in the US, just the environment in which they're growing up in, the values being different from the Kenyan values, would you consider that a challenge?
Yes, I would consider that a challenge too, because I think growing up in Kenya, even when we grew up, we believed that, that your child was not only your child. Like everyone out there was looking out for your child. Like like the whole village.
Yeah.
Like we knew that you couldn't go and do something wrong out there because they're going to tell on you.
Right. Yeah.
To your parents.
Yeah.
So we don't have that here.
No, we don't.
And your kids are not free to be anywhere they want. They can just go outside and play.
That's true.
Yeah. Unlike back home where you could be outside all day.
Yeah.
And your mom would know you're safe because somebody else is looking out for you.
Exactly.
But yeah.
No, yeah, this country is very stringent on a lot of things, including child safety, and it has its place because it creates that structure which is much needed. But there is also a place for just that community feel and you taking care of the neighbor's child and your children can interact. But I also understand the fact that people are really guarded because people out there are also weird, You can't just trust everyone, but I totally see your point.
And like you said, even culture, growing up here, our kids are prone to forgetting our culture.
That's true.
Or not knowing their parents' culture or where their parents came from.
Yeah.
And it's up to us parents to be intentional.
Yes.
About teaching them that.
Yes. So. Hold that thought. I will let you expound on that in a bit. But before that, tell me what you enjoy about raising kids in this country.
Oh, a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know I miss Kenya because I'm Kenyan, but I thank God that, God chose to bring me here and to have my kids here and to raise them here. Because growing up in Kenya, and times were different then. There was so much our parents didn't know. Maybe if they knew them, they would have raised us different.
Yeah.
But just the fact that, our kids can play instruments, I don't know, back then it would have been harder to even figure out how, where, the means.
Yes. I think it was only like the rich kids that did that, or the super privileged ones.
In the US, we have so much opportunities for kids to be even so much more.
Yeah.
Our kids don't have to be only doctors, only engineers. They even get to discover other talents that they won't have. Just because you have so much around you that you can involve them in.
That's true.
Yeah. So, and I don't know, honestly, maybe another parent from Kenya would tell us, but I don't know if there's such opportunities in Kenya. Maybe there are.
I think it's coming.
Maybe it will be a little more expensive.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
I think, in Kenya, I mean, times have changed a lot too, because I think nowadays a lot of people are, getting into stuff they're passionate about, instruments.
Yeah.
But I think there's still that kind of, it's still kind of reserved as a privilege.
Yes.
I mean, it's changing a lot, but it's still like a privilege because it's still more costly. It's more of a privilege over there than over here. And another thing too, I think, I mean, of course, raising kids in Kenya, there's a lot of values which we appreciate in raising kids. Like growing up in Kenya, in Africa, there's a lot of values. The value system is so different, and a lot of things from that system is good. But also, I think one thing I appreciate from seeing kids here is that they grew up with a lot of boldness and knowing how to verbalize their wants, their needs. I feel like in Kenya, especially, right? And maybe it was also us millennial kids, there's a lot of authoritarianness growing up. So I feel like kids, we somehow in some ways got suppressed in terms of expressing ourselves.
That's true.
And a person like me, I got to learn how to express myself a lot better when I moved to this country.
Me too.
Yeah,
that's very true.
Right?
Actually, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, even when I was little, I was like I was very, very quiet.
Yeah.
Like I was even scared of, like you're saying, speaking up in front of people. Some people will tell you, like, oh,
right.
she used to be, she wouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
And now they would meet me, they're like, wow. You're right.
Right.
Yeah, somehow we weren't even allowed to speak in front of visitors.
Exactly.
When you have visitors in the home, you couldn't even show up, like even in the living room. You were supposed to be out there.
Yes.
You're supposed to be, people say you're supposed to be seen and not heard.
Exactly.
Which I think maybe, I don't really blame our parents. I think it's where they, how they grew up too, how they were taught.
Yeah.
They didn't know any better. Those were things that were passed on to them. But the world has changed so much that, and coming to America too, we learned that we did not have to be that way. So we can change this, and we have managed to change this through our children. Like you asked, that I think that's one of the best things that's happened, raising kids here.
I think so too.
And for me, to express themselves. They get to be confident.
My parents kind of tried to, enable that bit of me. I've always been an introvert, but just taking me to church, and if there's a position which I could, be in that would enable me to express myself, my parents were big on that. So I feel like it was more not even a parent problem. It was not as much a parent problem as it was a system problem. Generally, the system was very authoritarian generally. And sometimes our parents were authoritarian too, but generally the system was. And we
remember even our government.
Yes.
It was dictatorship.
But moving here is different. I've learned to be even more, kind of what I struggled with was just kind of expressing myself, what I really want, what I really need, just because of that whole system. But we've learned a lot coming here, right? Yeah. And then another thing, Miss Nancy, I know you're big on helping kids connect to their culture. Could you tell us why this is important to you? I know you're out there usually. Jamhuri Day, Madaraka Day, you're out there getting those kids together, getting them to learn Kenyan songs and all that. Why is this important to you?
One of the reasons it is very important to me is, like you mentioned, our values. We were taught so much growing up. Every day our parents would be teaching us, our grandparents, and we learned through so many ways. They told us stories. Like I remember when we went to visit my grandmother, she would tell us stories, and every story had a lesson. And the other day somebody was talking about, watching movies, like at the movie theater, and how all that has changed. The very, very first original movies, like Disney movies, they all had a lesson. They don't much anymore. But let's go back to Kenya. But growing up, I always look forward to that. I look forward to, even my mom, even our parents, they taught us even songs, that I still remember. And all these songs have lessons that we learn through them. and that's my thing, like I have always wished to pass this on to my kids. And I've gotten to a point where in life, like I feel like I need to be a disciple, and not just in church, even in my community.
Yeah.
I need to share what I know.
Yeah.
And I feel that for every child now,
Yeah.
not just, I feel like, I don't know, God has placed in me that burden for every child, not just my children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I've realized that a lot of parents, when we come to Kenya, when we come to America, we either forget that, and then the younger parents too don't know that, because I'm sorry to say, some of my generation has not taught that to their kids. So it's being forgotten. Those values, somehow they're being forgotten. And the only way they can be passed on is through us.
Yes.
Through somebody has to do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't teach your kids, how are they going to teach their kids? And we're not going to be here forever.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Like in a few years, these kids will be the Kenyan adults. And guess what? The Kenyan kids that are coming to America right now, I'm sorry to say, they don't know these things.
Yeah.
You would think just because they're coming from Kenya that they already know these things. No.
Yeah.
Some of these values stopped with that, with our generation. Like the ones after us, they don't know much. And these values, for example, just respect for your elders, or respect for everybody, no matter what age. The kids now don't know. Like, I've noticed, like sometimes when you go, like when you gather for anything, and you enter a home, or a kid enters a home, you have to remind them to say hi to you, or you have to remind them to, to be respectful.
Yeah.
Or, like they don't know,
Yeah.
and just simple things like that.
Right. Right.
Like that's why we need to continue teaching them, like, or even like I said, it's not just songs, it's the messages in the song, the messages in the culture.
Yeah.
Why we need to learn it.
Yes.
It needs to continue. So I feel like an ambassador for this.
I love that you're doing that.
That's why I try to do it that way.
Yes.
And hopefully somebody, once I'm gone, somebody else will take over.
Yeah, it's definitely,
it continues, or at least with my kids or the kids I try to teach.
It definitely makes a huge difference. I believe it does. I think, before, I think there was a time when like kids would feel lost, like when they go here, because I was having other conversation previously with Natalie during another episode, how I think growing up, you don't feel Kenyan enough, you don't feel American enough, you don't know the Kenyan culture much or well. So, but the fact that you and the other ladies too and other people are, showing them bits and pieces of our culture and it makes them less estranged, and it's really so powerful, and they will know to pass it on to their kids, even if it's not deep stuff, just hey, we're still Kenyan, these are still our values. I think that's really awesome.
I believe that we have a very rich culture, not just being Kenyan, even just being African.
Yes.
And I think even the African Americans here have realized that. Because some of them are actually moving to Kenya.
Yes, to Ghana, to Kenya. That's true. That is true.
So they
awesome.
love our culture. So we should embrace it and teach it to our kids.
Definitely.
And pass it on to our kids.
Sure. And then Miss Nancy, what advice would you give to a parent who has newly moved to the US and they're feeling like it's overwhelming? They don't know where to start. What advice would you give them? Or just someone maybe who's been here for a while too, but they're just feeling a little overwhelmed by how to, raise kids here. What would you say to them?
I would say, like moving here from Africa.
Okay, some people have moved here from Kenya, from other parts of the world, and just that marrying the culture that they're used to with this culture that their kids are growing up in is hard.
It is.
Yes. What advice would you give them as they navigate the challenge of raising kids in a different culture?
What advice I would give those parents is, first, the thing I love also about our culture is the fact that our parents taught us about God from when we were very, very young.
Yeah.
So our parents, for one, were dependent on God, and they taught us that every day. We went to church, and growing up, you had no choice. You actually, when it was, the day to go to church, you all had to get up, go shout. You would not say no. You had no choice. You had to. So dependence on God,
Yeah.
it was very, very important in our culture, and it still is. And I learned that just from growing up from my family. So that's one thing that we need to remember, to always rely on God no matter what.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is the community. Our Kenyan culture is very, very. We take community very, very seriously. Like, community makes you feel you're not alone, no matter what you go through. Because being here in America, a lot of people, you won't even know your neighbor. Yeah, like you would live in a neighborhood for like 10 years and you don't know your neighbor.
Yeah.
Or you will know them, just by face, just saying hi. But growing up in Kenya, you knew everybody. Like you would know the whole village, like all the kids, whether you go to school with them or not.
Yeah.
The parents knew you, they would look up for you, like I said before. Yeah, so that's one thing, moving to America, that's something we should not forget as a parent in America, because you will need people, you will need the community, because living in this world, there'll always be adversity, something will always happen, and you will need people around you. And having your Kenyan community, having your community with you, you'll be able to go through those things easier, because they will come visit you, they will come talk to you, they will help you with everything you need. So that community feeling, so we need that.
Right.
And then as a parent generally, like I had said, you need to seek God, because God will give you wisdom on how to raise kids.
Yes.
No matter where you are in the world.
Because there's
So
no
we
formula,
need that,
and
yeah.
I think
And
that's wisdom is
to
that's so
tell
key.
you the truth,
Yeah.
children are children no matter where.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no perfect child, and there's no perfect way to do it. Only God can guide you.
Yeah.
And every situation is different. So I have two children, and they're different ages. Like there's a 6-year-old and there's a teenager.
Yeah.
So they're going through different things in life. So I cannot raise the 6-year-old the way I raised the
Yeah.
17-year-old. Even the advice I give them is different. But when it comes to God, of course, I teach the same things, that they always have to rely on God no matter what.
Yeah.
That they always have to seek God every day. Devotion is very important in my family. Even my daughter knows that by now. So, like, you have to remember, talk to God every day, because He's the only person that will never leave you, never forsake you. He's always there for you.
For
Even
sure.
I tell them, even when mommy's not there, even when you're in school playing on the playground, if something goes wrong, even when somebody's trying to hurt you, always remember you have to pray God. Pray to God, because He will always be there for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then your community too. Remind your children, and you remember, like I said, yeah, they need that. So one thing I teach my children about community and about is, you have to respect people no matter who they are.
Yes.
Whichever adult you meet out there, because you never know. You might be working at inside Walmart or inside a store, and you pass by somebody and you didn't even look at them, you didn't even care for them, and then you go fall like a few steps from there. Guess what? This person is the one that's going to come pick you up.
Right.
And you were thinking they're a stranger, you don't need them. So it's always good to make eye contact with people wherever you are. Acknowledge them, whether they're 80 years old, whether they're 5 years old. Because, in the future, you never know even what you're going to go through in life. You might meet these people, that 5-year-old you don't care for, or you're just going to, who knows? They might be your boss 20 years from now.
That's right. Right.
Yeah. So respect for people, and being involved in the community too is very important. Even as children,
Yeah.
I try to involve them. I have tried to organize even volunteer, activities for the kids, where they'll go volunteer.
Yeah.
So they can learn service from a younger age,
Right.
to be a part of something. Because like I said, we all need that. And then even another thing you have to remind your children is knowing their identity, who they are, not letting the world, tell them who they are or who they should be. Yeah. because that's one thing nowadays, that a lot of kids struggle with. Like we talked
Yes.
about, just wondering whether they're American or Kenyan. They should know that it's okay to be both.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they're both. They're
Mhm.
both Kenyan and they're both American.
Yes.
And they should embrace that. They should learn about the American culture and they should learn about the Kenyan culture.
Yes.
But they should also learn, you as a parent should teach them, but none of those cultures is perfect. None of those cultures is,
Yes.
so they should pick out the good things. And as a parent, you should help them pick out, like the good things in those two
In both
cultures.
that's true.
About being American and about, but they should embrace being both. They should not be embarrassed about being both.
Yeah.
A lot of our Kenyan kids they're very proud, like she said, in the Kenyan community, I'm the Kenyan leader and I'm the children's leader. And a lot of kids will wear their
bracelets,
Kenyan
bracelets. Yes.
Proudly. They love it. They will look at me and like, oh, I have one too.
Yeah.
They're proud, like even we take our kids to Kenya to visit and they always look forward to it. So they love being Kenyan. People assume, oh, they're in America, they won't care. No, they love it. They love being Kenyan. They love their parents are Kenyan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So please, let's remind them, that they should embrace both and it's okay. Even as they grow up, like I've even watched videos of adult Kenyans that were born here and they will still be talking of, stories of Kenya when they visited and what they did, their favorite Kenyan foods. And I love that. I love hearing that.
I absolutely love that because I know some years ago it was kind of hard for people to embrace the fact that they were Kenyan.
Yes.
Kids especially, because of just growing up with a lot of negativity surrounding, being an African and everything. But things are changing and I really appreciate you for being a big propagator of that change.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for that. And thank you for, I think you've dropped some very golden nuggets.
Can I add something
else? Yes, definitely.
Yeah, as a parent, I also feel like I should share, so much.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that my kids are perfect because I know these things. Everything is a work in progress. And, just the fact that we live in this world, so much, happens, but we should always rely on God because He's always there for us. But so many challenges we go through sometimes is because we don't know. Especially the younger parents, there's so much they don't know, like they won't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I have met parents, that I'll be telling things and they're like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know you can do that. Here in America, it's so easy to be, to feel like you're not there for your child because we're so busy. We're always working. Your child is either at the daycare or they're in school. So one of the things I've learned is to be intentional, when raising your kid.
Yeah.
Being intentional means that things are not just happening, accidentally. You're actually planning for things
I love
to
that.
happen.
I love that.
So as a parent, and we know that I've met parents who will say, oh, I tried, I did my best. And it's very true. But what does the Bible tell us? That God was aware that kids can stray away, so He gave provision in His word. He said in Proverbs 22 verse 6, He said that raise a child in the way that he should grow, and when they're old, they will
not depart from it.
They will not depart from it.
Yeah.
So the fact that word is in there, it means that He was aware that was possibly going to happen. So as a parent, I think we should not give up. We should still continue to teach them in the way the Bible says for us to, and then they will come back. Yeah, they will come back.
I love that.
So yeah. So parents, don't give up. And like I was saying, when we feel so busy and the world, is so busy, still you have time. You can make time. You can actually take some days off work just to be with your child. And every minute you're with your child, make sure you're engaging with them. That's the only way. That's the only time if something is wrong.
Yes.
Because we've seen parents that have discovered things way later when they're
that's true.
Yeah. So like with my kids, I would say sometimes I even do like with Lucy, we'll even do a word search together.
Wow.
Like even say, hey, can we do this word search together, and even compete, who gets the most words.
Yeah.
and then making time for them would mean even vacation. Take your kids on vacation, and make memories.
That's true.
Because
That's right.
my parents, my mom was very good, with vacations and taking us places. I still remember. Maybe that's why I like to do that with my kids. Yeah, and we made a lot of memories. I still have old pictures of memories. Yeah. So make memories with your kids, and the only way you can make memories is if you're with them, if you're engaging with them, doing stuff with them. And I try to, and that's one of the reasons I try to do stuff in the community. And because most of the things I do, I involve the parents too. The parents actually help me with their kids, and that's time with their kids.
Yes.
So I count that as time with their kids, because the parent is there, the child is there. Because in this country, it's so easy to just go to work in the morning, not see your child all day, come home, and shower, go to bed. You don't get to see your child. You don't get to talk to them.
Man.
Yeah, you don't even know what they're doing. You don't even know how they're doing in school. You only hear it from the teacher. Yeah, so you need to be involved with your children, and like I said, be intentional.
I love that.
And then please be involved in church. These kids, they don't only learn from books or stuff. They also learn from you, from watching you. They're gonna do what you do.
That's right.
The things they like is what you like. What movies you watch, guess what? That's what they're going to be watching as adults too.
Yep.
Yeah, like I have a friend who told me one time they went to visit their adult child. Yeah, this is a very good friend of mine. Sometimes she will give me advice on how to raise my son. And she tells me things about her son. She was like, Nancy, don't, watch what you do, because she went to visit her son, and the way his house was set up, the things he had in his house, when she opened the fridge, is the exact things
really
that they buy, the kind of milk that they used to buy. When he was at home. Now he's living on his own. Guess what? He's living the way he was taught.
Isn't that?
And not just the way he was taught, but how the things he saw his mom do.
That's what he's doing.
So be very careful what you do. Take your kids to church. Guess what? Then you don't have to keep calling them to see if they went to church.
That's right.
When they leave home, they do. Yeah.
That's true.
Just God chose you to be the parent of that child for a reason. So please just do it like He wants you to, and He will always be there for you. And like I said, don't give up, and pray for them. Pray for these children. It's very, very important. Cover them every day of your life. Teach them to pray for themselves, because they will need that. And when you go through adversity, please involve them. Tell them the truth, because they don't want to go start life thinking that life is perfect.
That's right.
They need to know how to fight these battles too. They need to know that they can fight them on their knees too, and that there's a God that's watching out for them. And sorry, I will. No. Stop talking.
No, you're fine. There's a lot of golden nuggets you've given us. There's a lot of. I think when I become a parent, I'll just come to you and just get all those nuggets.
I started writing it down. I was like, oh my God, I'm not gonna stop writing this down. So
there is a lot. It's a lot. It cannot be summarized but you've actually summarized it very well, in this session, given us all those nuggets we need. I know it's hard, but just that intentionality, it goes a long way. Children will follow your example more than they will follow your advice. I think that's very important. And of course, God is the giver of wisdom. Commit your kids to God, ask for wisdom, and He will give it to you.
Yes.
He's very willingly. Okay.
Yes.
Miss Nancy, I really, any parting shot before I summarize and close this up?
Like she said, like Lydia said, just commit them to God. And God will give you wisdom. You'll be surprised how much wisdom He will give you. And like I said, one last thing is that make sure your kids are busy, staying busy. Yeah, that's very, very important. Let them be involved in activities, because that's how they find out who they are. That's how they know what their strengths are.
Very big one.
Yeah, so involve them. If they're not sports, if they don't like sports, there is so much. That's what I love about being in the US. There's so much other things they can do. There's so many activities they can be involved in. Let them be involved. let they should not be on their cell phones 24/7.
Big one.
They should be out there doing something, being a part of something.
I love that. Miss Nancy, I really appreciate you taking your time to come and share with us all those beautiful things to consider in parenting. Those are like really important things and pinpointers you've shared today. We really appreciate you coming through. I knew it was going to be a good time. I told you she's positive vibes, isn't she? And thank you so much for spending time with us today. We really appreciate you, just hanging out with us. And let us know in the comment section what your thoughts are on the topic of the conversation we had today. What has been your experience? What lessons have you taken from today? What's your take-home message? And if you have not subscribed, consider subscribing. That way you get notified the next time we upload our next video. And it also goes a long way in helping reach out to people that are interested in content about living abroad. For now, however, we wish you a very blessed day. Thank you again for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode. But before that, I want to say goodbye. How do you say goodbye in Kikuyu? I forgot to ask that. I meant to ask you.
It's almost like Swahili. Wait, let me remember. Dienawega. It means, it almost like you're telling somebody to go with God.
Dienawega.
Yeah, dienawega, or go with good.
Okay.
Yeah, dienawega.
All right, we'll say it together. 1, 2, 3. Dienawega. Thank you, guys.